Lots of big changes happening in this afternoon with this storm. Now a hurricane upgraded about 2 hours ago and missing at least the center, Puerto Rico. Tracking to the east of Puerto Rico, a surprise there. If you remember, even a day or two ago, the track was expected to be across the Dominican Republic and Haiti. It's almost 250 miles to the east of that this afternoon. And that track will eventually take it up to the Bahamas. But this is a storm that is gaining strength. We're now starting to see an eye wall develop on the radar images coming out of Puerto Rico. And it's about 1,100 miles to the southeast of our coastline. So it is getting closer as it continues to move toward the northwest, a little over 10 miles an hour. And there's the current look. The structure is a lot different than it was even 12 hours ago. We're starting to see good outflow in all quadrants. There's not a lot of wind shear going on here. It's shedding the dry air that was near the center. There's lots of dry air the last 2 to 3 days on the south side of this. And you notice how the deep reds and yellows are starting to fill in. Those are cold cloud tops. And as that fills in, this will become more protected. And this hurricane is expected to continue to gain strength for the next 2 to 3 days, eventually becoming a major hurricane and becoming a threat to the east coast of Florida on the holiday weekend. There's a look at the radar out of Puerto Rico, and you can clearly see the eye developing with this as the inner core of this hurricane gets better structured and will protect itself from any more dry air trying to get in train. Dry air weakens storms as it gets near the center. This one's trying to shed all that dry air and really get a well-developed core and continue to strengthen it, moving just to the east of Puerto Rico. Here's the forecast track, and it brings this hurricane eventually to major hurricane status, an intense hurricane. Not through Thursday, though. 80-mile-an-hour winds Thursday evening. Still Category 1 Friday morning at 8 a.m. And then heading toward the Bahamas, it turns more toward the west. And James Whelan's going to talk about why it does that in a minute. Category 2, that is Saturday 8 a.m. as we head into the holiday weekend. There's Sunday at 8 a.m. just north of Grand Bahama and the Abacos and pretty much due east of Vero Beach. That's a Category 3 major hurricane. And then we have Category 3 major hurricane, 115-mile-an-hour winds. Those are sustained winds. That happens on Monday morning. Now, that's a point, and remember that hurricane and tropical storm force winds stretch far out from the center at this time period, so we'll start to feel the effects into Sunday afternoon and evening, and they'll just continue to strengthen after that. The computer model tracks, unfortunately, are starting to drop a little south again. We saw a trend the last 2 to 3 days, then working north with each model run. Now they're beginning to move a little farther south. The Euro is bringing it into Palm Beach County, some other very reliable models heading into the Treasure Coast. So that would be Sunday, Monday time period. And our probability of tropical storm force winds continues to increase. Sunday in the morning, 8:30, about 20 to 30%. But look at how it climbs. There's Sunday 11 a.m. up to 40%, 50, 60%. Now this is more than a 50-50 chance of seeing winds at 39 miles an hour stronger late weekend, mid to late weekend, Sunday and Monday. That's one of the changes. We're seeing a little bit of a delay in the timing for this and a little bit later for the arrival of the strong winds. And the steering too, and I want to toss it over to James Whelan with more on why this is turning toward Florida out day 4 and day 5.
Yeah, we're looking at the Bermuda High. We always look at this here for steering in general, any hurricanes out there. Right now it's really weak and it's way out into the Atlantic, and you see the track, the initial track, is pretty much straight northwest here, and that's what the Hurricane Center has it doing. However, what's happening is the Bermuda High is going to build and strengthen here and push westward. That in turn does that sharp left turn and pushes it into our area here as we get into the early part of next week. It's how strong and how quickly does this build and kind of expand here is the question on when or where, that is, this storm is going to go. Now, if it's a little bit slower building, maybe a little bit weaker, it probably will hit farther up to the north. If it builds quicker and it's stronger, that will probably push it a little bit farther to the south. So it all depends on how this high is going to expand and build back to the west, and we'll keep an eye on that.